Welcome. It's Nuñez-LaMarre, founder of Love Personal Growth, your go-to for embodied healing and spirituality in life, business, and relationships. And today we're going to continue our conversation on spirituality and religion. And in fact, I'm probably going to be speaking a lot to both of those things in coming episodes because they matter in all aspects of our lives. In fact, you would be shocked to understand and to see how much spirituality and religion impacts your every thought, movement, action, word, and deed. So I will start with this. Megan Watterson is a Harvard theologian, and she says that we are responsible for our own education. And that, my friend, is the truth. As a spiritual scholar, I study spirituality and religion. And what I have found in my studies is nothing like what I have been taught, or just tiny glimpses of the actual truth. And what I speak and what I share is in no way, and I want to be very clear about this, in absolutely no way here to try to change your thoughts or your beliefs. Not at all. What I share is to empower you to trust that knowing within yourself that there's something more, that there's something different, and maybe even something hidden that you haven't quite been able to put your finger on, but it feels like something's off. That's what I'm empowering. I'm empowering self-trust in the ability, in the action to create the result of you building your own inner sanctuary, your own inner knowing. So that is my goal and my intention. Again, it is not to change your belief systems. It is to empower you to know and to trust and to love yourself to the greatest of your abilities, and maybe even more than your current ability. So where to start? So I will speak mostly from a Christian perspective because that is how I was raised. I am not Christian. I am in fact no religion. And if I was to be a religion, that changes so often based on what I believe, based on what I read. And so I just go based on what I believe. And what I believe is that there is a divinity that exists within and around us, and it is meant to be experienced. And my goal is to learn how to experience and embody this divinity more and more in each moment of my life, to be present in it. And so as I work through this, and as I speak through and share some of the findings in my scholarly research, as well as some of the findings in my own experiences and my own intuitive knowings, as I'm also an intuitive guide, I bring forth divine messages to share with you so that you can gain that trust, that aha moment that goes, that's why it never made sense, or that's what it was that's been missing. All right, so let's get started. So the first thing on my journey, and in every journey that I have, is I question everything. I question everything, and the only thing that I found to be true is that there is a divinity that exists within and around us, that is supporting us and provides and has unconditional love for us. That is the only quote-unquote standard truth across the board. Now, in the way that we access this knowing, in the way that we access this divinity, in the way that we connect to this divinity, in the way that we speak to this divinity, in the way that we commune with this divinity, in the way that we share this divinity, that's all up for interpretation and how you want to do it. Okay? I may provide suggestions along the way, but really my whole goal is just to reconnect you to this divinity through empowering you by remembering and unlearning. Okay. So the key is we must unlearn. This is the first step. We must unlearn what we've been taught. So for me, in the Catholic Church, we didn't do much of reading the Bible, but there were readings. Okay. And we didn't do much of Bible studies So it's not that I had this Bible study that I was going into and reading the scriptures and doing those sorts of things in church. That wasn't my experience. However, I did read the Bible because I was interested, because I wanted to. This is when I was 18 years old. When I went to college, I broke up with my boyfriend and was like, no, I just want to study the Bible. Y'all, I'm not joking. That's what I did. I went to college, got an electrical engineering degree, and in my free time, read the Bible. Okay? That gives you a little insight into me. So, I do have an experience in reading the Bible. However, I could not feel connected to it. I tried and I worked hard, and I worked not so hard to connect to the words that were in the Bible. And while I believe there are great messages within the Bible, I also know, and I want to repeat this, I also know that the Bible has been changed multiple times. And so, again, I'm not bashing Christianity. I'm not bashing the Bible. I'm just empowering us to know what is the truth, to know what is being fed to us so that we can let go of what does not serve us and align to what is truth for us. So in that, I started questioning the Bible. And I continued to be Catholic, but I just always had this question, like, who developed it? And how did they come up with the words in the Bible? And how did they come up with the scriptures? And how did they write the Bible? Because illiteracy was so high. There was such a high rate of illiteracy. Most people couldn't even read and write. And how is it even accurate if it was written, 100 years after Jesus died? And so I had all of these thoughts and these questions that percolated in my mind. So I questioned, and I went on a journey of questioning. And what I discovered is that there was a path to what most people know as common day Christianity. It was not what Jesus Day Christianity actually was. But what happened is that there were these canonical 12 Gospels, if you will, which Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, blah, blah, blah. You could go study it. And those were chosen, okay? Not by Jesus. I want to make sure that that's clear for everyone listening. They were not chosen by Jesus. They were not even written by Jesus, okay? So these books that were chosen and written were done so over time, okay? So approximately, they say from 70 AD to 140 AD, and there's questions around that. But regardless, in approximately 325 AD, or I should say, let me be clear, I don't want to say AD, and scratch that, and as you're listening to this, the Common Era. So we're calling it the Common Era, okay? Common Era equals AD. So in 325 of the Common Era, Constantine puts together the church fathers, and they establish the Nicene Creed. And I want to be clear, if you heard church fathers, that is accurate. They were all men. So they put together this Nicene Creed as Constantine wants to unite all religions. And so they come up with the Nicene Creed, which is, we believe in one God, the Father, the Almighty, creator of heaven and earth, of all the things seen and unseen. And you know the rest. Or if you don't, you can Google it. And so they create this Nicene Creed, and they put out and they say, okay, this is what it's going to be. In approximately 369 CE, so 369 of this Common Era, there was Alexander, I can't remember his full name, but what he did is he said, well, we're going to destroy all of the books that don't align with what we believe, and we being the church fathers, okay? So, beautiful Gospels, like the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Philip, Thunder Perfect Mind, many, many, many Gospels were destroyed. They were destroyed. because they didn't align with this canonical texts, these canonical insights, or these canonical beliefs that the church fathers wanted us to follow. They took a lot of stuff out that they didn't want us to know. And what did they do? They instilled fear and control. So how can you control someone? One way is through fear, right? And that's what they wanted. And so what they were doing is they were instilling fear in a judgmental God that if you don't act a certain way, then you're going to hell. And so that's how they did it. That was their pathway. That was what they decided was going to be the way forward. And so between 300 to 500 Common Era, there were the destruction of beautiful gospels. Now, fortunately for us, there were some people who hid those gospels. And they were buried for approximately 1,500 years, okay? Until the last about 100 years, in which there was a huge finding at Nag Hammadi in Egypt, where they found all of these beautiful gospels. Now, these gospels had to be translated, and there's many people that do it. I recommend, if you're looking at the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, whom I absolutely love, P.S., like, she is the apostle to the apostle. She led the way, okay? If you're looking for an interpretation of the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, I highly recommend Karen King's version. She is a Harvard theologian and also works in the Harvard Divinity School. She does a great job in her book, The Gospel of Mary Magdalene. So they are available now. They're available for us to read. And here's the most amazing piece of this information. The most amazing piece of this information is that they could never be touched. For 1,500 years, they were buried and no one could change them. And so when you read it, it's like reading a secret. It's like reading hidden wisdom. And when we read this hidden wisdom, something inside of us is turned back on. Something inside, a light is switched, and we go, this is the truth. And you want to know what those gospels teach? That God is within you. That God is unconditionally loving. And that God can be found right here. Nowhere else, not out there. There is no kingdom to come. It is right here. And the goal is to connect to that divinity, the child of true humanity, as what it's called in the Gospel of Mary, within us. So, I'll close with saying the Bible that exists today, depends on what version you have. There will be fear and control instilled. So I'm just inviting you to get curious about what you know about the Bible, about what you know about hidden gospels, and maybe about even studying them. I hope that this was fun and insightful and educational. I'll talk to you later.